All right. I'm trying to have the same damn conversation, but my phone keeps ringing and it's just a bunch of non-money making phone calls. It's really frustrating. I'd love to turn on not airplay, airplane mode, but I can't afford to not have my phone ring. I'm ranting because my mind is busy. Anyway, this customer I worked with yesterday, the customer originally hired me several days ago. She wanted her 8 terabyte drive working. She physically installed it properly, but she couldn't. No, I'm sorry. I lied. She did. What she couldn't figure out how to do is to get Windows going. So I had a 2-minute conversation with her, realized she just didn't know how to extract the ISO. She said she used the media creation tool. I don't think she knew how to get it to extract to the USB port. The fact is, it didn't work. Don't know what happened. Don't care. Have a few theories. Maybe the fucker went to sleep. Those are the sort of mistakes Microsoft makes. Apple makes those mistakes too. God forbid you're so fucking busy doing something that maybe sleeping in 5 minutes is more important, despite the fact that you purposely wanted it normally to go to sleep in 5 minutes. But anyway, that's just the first 2 minutes of our conversation. Didn't even have to ask her. Well, could the thing have gone to sleep when it happened? But anyway, she brings the machine to me. I charge her. I quote her. I charge her to do the job. She's happy. She takes the machine home. After the machine is fixed, it sounds like she's thrilled with the performance since it's a faster drive. The bus speed of the BIOS, or the bus speed of the motherboard is probably capable of giving her better performance than stock. Because we all know those Chinese SSDs are no faster than a mechanical drive. So, after she gets her machine in her possession, she calls me up. Hey, I can't get my USB drive to boot. She has multiple terabytes of data on a USB drive, a 5 terabyte drive with like 3 to 4 terabytes of data. She's thinking the drive is failing. I'm thinking the drive is failing. I tell her to bring it by. I almost try to walk myself out of the job because I don't like giving minimal chances of recovery, because the chances of, given the resources I have, the chances of recovery with a $100 utility are relatively minimal. And I don't really want to market myself as selling data recovery when the chances of my $100 utility getting data back is relatively small. But anyway, I told her, okay, bring it by. Let's see what's going on. Now, I get excited because the first thing I notice is that the connector is very, very loose. Turns out that is the problem. What I could have done, what I did do, what I could have done is just what I ended up doing after transferring data was moving her drive to my computer first to transfer data to the USB 8 gig drive to replace and transfer data to that. Now, I tried to do that. What I should have done, I did do it, and I had some issues, but what I should have done is just taken that drive and physically put it in her computer. I didn't think to have her go home and go get her desktop computer. What I thought was, let me do the convenience of transferring the 3 or more terabytes of data to her USB 8 gig memory hard drive. It's a big old, twice the, maybe the size of a book, like a novel. But anyway, not the little man's wallet-sized hard drive like most of them are these days. But instead of having her originally bring me her now repaired working computer, I transferred data. Now, one of the issues, which I only find out, it's not my fault. I had self-dignity issues because Microsoft, I'm finding out now on YouTube, Microsoft has made 3 or 4 big mistakes in recent months. Their servers have gone down. They've broken the boot environment so that keyboards and mice stop working, which is more than just that environment. I installed Windows 11 on an older laptop. My keyboard wasn't working. That's just, it booted, but then my mouse and keyboard stopped working, or the trackpad and keyboard stopped working. So they're not telling everyone publicly. It also affected people with that. I thought because the system wasn't certified for 11, I didn't have properly working drivers anyway. Turns out that once it hit the news that, oh, we broke our boot environment, my several-year-old Dell starts working again after a couple more updates. So anyway, it's just the start of my rant, because one of the things that happened is that Microsoft, so when I install Windows on my personal workbench computer, I purposely downloaded the ISO, and then I downloaded Rufus to allow me to uncheck the box that says lock the computer up with BitLocker. The other checkbox is don't log in with a Microsoft account. I'm pretty sure I unchecked those or check those boxes to enable those features so that when I install Windows professionally on a computer, I'm not asking customers for passwords to log into their Microsoft accounts. Now, the way I've been dealing with this in months past is using one of my dummy accounts. That's annoying. And I don't want to clutter up a system. I understand that once I get their local account created from within my Microsoft logged in boot account, then we're good. I can just make their account an administrative account, delete my account, and then we're good. But what's happening, as you log in to Microsoft's online account, it defaults the BitLocker. Do you know how long it takes to unencrypt 4 fucking terabytes of data? Customer doesn't want to assume I'm up to no good or that I don't know what I'm doing because all I did was wanting some data transfer and now it's going to take 5 days to unencrypt 4 or 5 terabytes of data? Yeah. So all Microsoft has to do is give us the vernacular that says, oh, this is what's going on. We think you should be encrypted. This is what's going to happen. This is where you find your key. But no, none of that. Why? You're going to arrogantly lock me out of my data because your servers went down? Yeah, fine. You automatically back up with a key. You back up a key to your servers. You don't give me vernacular that says that's what's going on. You don't give me vernacular that says, oh, maybe you might want to back this key up. You might want to print it out. You might want to save it to more than one location. Let's give you some links to some of your favorite cloud services to automatically upload to services you're more comfortable with than our fucking OneDrive. Anyway, that encryption only showed itself after I called the customer and said, come get your stuff. Looks like it crashed. I got most of your stuff, but not all of it. Progress bar moves like molasses uphill on a cold day. 3 or more terabytes of data unencrypting is very painful to watch. So I shut the computer down. I realize the customer has to get their data back. I put the machine in the drive in her computer, as originally I should have, but I didn't think about this. Turn the computer on. It says it's continuing the progression, but then I turn it off again to see how it's going to perform. It doesn't continue. It looks like the encryption or de-encryption process broke because Microsoft wasn't anticipating this drive being handled between 2 different devices. So I'm starting to feel really guilty, like I'm the one who's incompetent. I didn't get verbiage on my screen that said, this is what's going on, this is the proper way to deal with it. You will need to properly unencrypt on the original machine before manhandling this drive and shoving it in another. Now, a day later, I'm taking like $200 less than I would have for this job because I felt guilty about, one, the amount of time it took to transfer all that data, and 2, I don't think it was a complete install or a transfer. And I also don't know if that drive originally is still failing because there's 3 incorrect situations that, well, what I'm calling incorrect is 3 numbers. I got the pie chart that tells me one number, which is the biggest number of data. I got another number on the drive that tells me it's less. I don't need to give you the exact numbers because I don't remember the exact numbers. But the fact of the matter is the pie chart that says there's like 4 terabytes of data was telling me it's like somewhere around 4 terabytes of data. But then the number of gigabytes or terabytes was like a terabyte less than that. And then the actual data that got transferred was only a terabyte, or it's 1.1 terabyte. I'm starting to remember. So then I'm comparing both what got transferred and what didn't get transferred. What didn't get transferred, when I right click and go to properties, is telling me 1.1 terabytes. But that pie chart is still telling me fucking 4. So I've got a drive that's not giving me the right numbers, or someone at Microsoft doesn't know how to count. Yeah, look at my faces. I'm making myself giggle. So now what? Customer's happy, but I took that hit because I felt guilty. So for any of you computer people, if you have self-worth issues, if you have issues of competency, if you question about whether or not you are good at your job, or you wonder if you know what you need to know to do a particular task before doing more research. Other people make mistakes. I'm sorry, we all have to go through this sometimes as technical professionals. Someone getting paid lots of money to make code? Well, I've only found out very recently. Microsoft is using AI to make up to like 30% of their code. That's how they're coming up with these flaws. You got, AWS went down, but Azure went down a month ago, or a few weeks ago. They're killing their keyboards and mice, or trackpads on laptops. And then they're accidentally locking up people's computers. This is all over YouTube, everything I've just said. How are people supposed to trust huge companies when they don't beta test properly, or they don't hire novice users? If they would just hire grandpa and grandma, you'd have a UI that works. Grandma and grandpa either don't know or don't care what BitLocker is. You therefore, morally, professionally, owe them vernacular that says what's going on. We are going to take the initiative to lock you up. If your computer crashes, you might be screwed. We are locking up your key in our database. You can log into your Microsoft account and get it if needed. But that's the common sense you don't see in these environments. All I see lately in the last several years is a stupid, hey, look at me, daddy, kind of insecurities I see in the software. You notice how anytime you install something new, like a browser or Windows, you get a little bubble that says, hey, look at this, hey, look at that, look at this, look at that. They have it in them to give us a little bit of vernacular that says what's up because of the changes, but then they're going to lock us out of BitLocker without telling us where to go get the key. Now, I'm a technical pro. I know where to go get the key, but the novice user doesn't understand that. And those are the civilian or retail customers that are getting locked out of their machines. I don't understand why Microsoft thinks it's smartest to lock up their data. No, locking it up, I'd be more afraid of being locked out of my data than having my data exploited or stolen because it wasn't locked up. And people wonder why IT professionals question their own judgment, because we're dealing with the judgment of other IT professionals who don't do our job. We are technicians, sysadmins, network technicians, desktop support technicians. and we have to deal with the fact that someone at Microsoft didn't want to tell Satya that maybe it's smart to let the customer decide whether or not they need to be locked up? Fuck you. That's what I say to these industries that want to lock us up and lean on AI to make the problems go away. If I jump on a phone, I want a human. I feel like ranting on the other job that I had after this, or before the job I just spoke of was 2 days ago. I had another job yesterday. Google broke a customer's email. Where am I supposed to go if the customer is able to send and then receive and not receive? If they're telling me they can't receive, instantly I'm going to assume their box is full. That's not the case. I did that investigative effort. No one at Google is going to answer the phone. They are paying for G Suite / I call it Google Apps because that's what it was when I started using it. So I took the initiative to get them over to GoDaddy. Their migration team is good. I've done this phone call with them a few times. So I figured, well, let's just get us a company where phone support is available and not through a chat or not through an AI bot. Well, now that customer called me in between these videos I've been uploading and tells me, oh, now what? Now I find out they get an email. It's going to be another 5 days before their email's working. I wasn't told that. I'm thinking 24 hours. Now, I'd done this once or twice before, but I forgot that it could take a couple more days to get that taken care of. So now they're freaking out because their email isn't sending. They can't receive because their accounts are in limbo because they're being migrated directly from Google to GoDaddy servers. How am I supposed to get paid to tinker with Google without having an admin on their end able to say, oh, that's what's going on? Am I really supposed to command a couple $100 an hour to tinker with Google's web settings? There is no IMAP or POP setting to dick with because it's their web interface. If they can't send, something on the back end is broken. So that's why I told them to go with GoDaddy. If something stops working, they can spend 10 minutes on the phone with GoDaddy instead of paying me to show up. I charge $180 an hour. That's my minimum. That's why I start to feel guilty when I start tinkering and it takes me 2 hours, 3 hours to figure out what's going on because I didn't have someone on the phone to fix it for me. If I do what I'm calling professional and sending them to GoDaddy as a service provider, replacement, that's because I think everyone paying for these online services deserves phone support. If I'm paying for a monthly service or an annual service, I want to be able to get a human on the phone. I should not have to call a local IT professional hundreds of dollars an hour to fix what should be fixed by someone on the back end with a human voice. These companies are horny for AI, and it's only getting them in trouble. Microsoft's issues that have been in the news about their servers going down, about breaking USB and mouse drivers, because I find out 30% of their code is AI'd. They got to get off of this whole horniness of AI and handwrite code because they're only pissing me off. I'm feeling guilty about getting paid because I don't think certain jobs should take as long as I've spent time on, and I have to articulate what's going on to non-technical users. Yeah, Microsoft fucked your encryption. It's going to take literal days to do that. How does literal days take anything to happen? A normal customer doesn't understand why it takes days to do anything on a computer. How am I supposed to say, calm down. I do know what I'm doing. It's not me, it's the system, both the hardware, both the software, and the developers. It just sounds like I'm trying to deny issues. So, here we are. I talk fast because I've had to do this video 3 times because the phone rang. I'll probably be back. I've been very cranky because of the way Microsoft has made all these mistakes. There are other issues. I don't understand. If you just hire grandma and grandpa to help you with your UI, I have a suspicion that this customer that installed her Windows couldn't get it to function because her system probably fell asleep in 5 minutes. Do you know what happens when you try to use the media creation tool and your computer falls asleep in 5 or 10 or 15 minutes? Because it takes like 20 or 30 to create that stick. What do you think happens? It doesn't. The process gets halted because Microsoft thinks that sleeping is more important. There's an IRQ that says what's going on, but they want to prioritize sleeping. Oh, they're transferring a boatload of data. Let's not prioritize that. Let's prioritize a 5-minute sleep. Do you know how many times things have been halted because both Microsoft and even Apple have decided, sleep? Why should that get interrupted? We're busy transferring data, but let's sleep. These are the issues that piss me off. Or one of the issues I had on this particular job, but all the time when I'm transferring data, you get permissions issues. I want the whole damn thing to travel through. Why should I have to deal with 3 or 4 hours later? Do you want to transfer this file without its properties? Yes, please. The fact that you don't give me that checkbox in the beginning when you recognize that the data transfer is more than a few megabytes tells me that you're incompetent, Microsoft. I should not have to revisit a data transfer tens of gigabytes or more because you didn't give me the option to check that box from the beginning. You didn't give me a checkbox that says, how would you like us to proceed if there are data transfer issues? Like maybe your media is failing. Do you want us to try again, or do you want us to automatically skip the file that won't transfer? The fact that these software developers don't make that happen tells me that Microsoft has issues. Or the fact is, when a transfer happens, there's no final message that says it completed, which means if the power went out, I know it went out. How do I know if it got transferred or not? I understand that because of disk geometry changes, I'm not able to right-click and go to properties on one computer or hard drive and then go to the other and assume that because it's slightly different that that's just disk geometries. How do I know the customer's not missing a few critical files? You want me to do it again because one, the power went out, you didn't give me any verbiage that says what happened, or 2, there was property issues and you chose to sit there and wait till the next morning for data to transfer, and I'm supposed to feel like I know what I'm doing. Anyway, that's my rant for now. I'm feeling this is a cranky day, and I know I'm not going to get a whole lot done today because I don't have any busy jobs scheduled, except that I now have to deal with this customer who can't read their mail because their Google transfer to GoDaddy is now in limbo, and apparently they got an email that says it won't be until the 25th of November. It's currently the 20th. And I'm supposed to deal with everyone's anxiety. Sometimes my anxiety is not mine. Where do I put it? Have a good day.